everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO of DevCompass, and I'm back again for one last video of the course. I'm sad. Are you sad? I have a 50-50 feeling. I don't know, maybe some of you are extremely happy that finally you are done. Maybe some of you have been so used to hearing me talk about these random concepts that you might miss me. But anyway, whatever it is, we'll make the best out of it and we will just ace this. Literally ace it. Okay, so let's talk about provenance. The moment a source URL gets dropped, we have talked about a lot of failures, multi-agent, and how there's a context problem, there's a measurement problem, etc. etc. In this one, especially looking back, I think stage 3, video 2, we talked about context isolation, how the broken pipeline where the sub-agent found the document with the source URL, the document name, the date, but returned the text only. The metadata was stripped. The fix was to instruct the sub-agent to include specific metadata fields in its output, and we named that pattern, fixed the bug, and moved on. That fixed handled the sub-agent output, but provenance isn't just about what the sub-agent returns. It's about what survives all the way to final synthesis to the customer-facing response. Source URL in the sub-agent output is not the same as source URL in the final answer. There are multiple places between those 2 points where provenance can be dropped. And this video is about finding all of them and closing all of them, and closing this on an amazing note. For everyone who has no idea of what I'm talking about, please head over to devcompass.ai and you will get all the relevant information about the Claude certificate preparation course. For everyone else who has been tolerating me since stage 0, let's get started and wrap this up with a bang. Okay, so there are 4 points in this pipeline where provenance gets dropped. Let's look at the diagram. The source document is on the left. It has 3 provenance fields: URL, document name, and date. I am going to trace what happens to each field through the pipeline. First is the sub-agent retrieval. The sub-agent finds the document. All 3 fields are present in the retrieval result. We fixed this instruction in stage 3. So the sub-agent is now instructed to include them. So provenance is intact here. The second stage is coordinator synthesis. The coordinator receives the sub-agent output. Provenance fields are present. It synthesizes across multiple sub-agent results and writes a combined summary. This is where provenance most commonly gets dropped. The coordinator's synthesis prompt doesn't instruct it to carry provenance fields into the summary. It summarizes the content, but it drops the metadata. What is a fix? Instruct the coordinator to include provenance fields in every claim that it makes in the synthesis output. Stage 3 is a conflict resolution. 2 sub-agents found documents with conflicting information. The coordinator picks the most recent one. You remember the stage 3 silent conflict failure mode? Even if it picks correctly, it drops the other source's provenance. So the conflicting claim disappears. What is a fix? Include both sources with attribution rather than resolving silently both URLs in the output. The final stage is the final response formatting. The synthesis output has provenance fields, but the final response formatter strips them. They are not in the template. The customer-facing response contains the claim but not the source. What is the fix? Provenance fields must be in the response template, not just in intermediate outputs. So, let's see that if the coordinator prompt instruction is the most impactful fix, how is that going to happen? Because the coordinator synthesis step is where provenance most commonly gets dropped and it disappears. So let's look at the 2 prompt session. First is the broken coordinator synthesis instruction. Synthesize the sub-agent results into a coherent summary for the customer. Be very clear and concise, that's it. The coordinator reads the sub-agent outputs, synthesizes the content and writes a summary. The content is preserved. The metadata isn't in the instruction, so it's not in the output. The write card is the fixed instruction. Same intent, 3 additions. For every claim in your synthesis, include the source URL, document name and date from the sub-agent output that supports it. If 2 sub-agents report conflicting information on the same point, include both claims with their respective sources rather than choosing one on your own. Do not drop provenance fields when reformatting or summarizing. 3 additions, all explicit. The third one, do not drop provenance fields when reformatting. Addresses a specific failure mode where the coordinator correctly includes provenance in its first draft and then reformats or summarizes its own output, dropping the fields in the second pass. Naming the failure mode in the instruction prevents it. Okay. Now, what are the conflicting sources? Let's look at the 2-path diagram. First, 2 sub-agents search the returns policy. Sub-agent finds the current policy 30-day returned window for damaged item. Again, we have already covered this context in previous videos. It is dated April 2024. Sub-agent B finds an older version, 14-day return window, dated January 2023. Same policy, different versions, definitely conflicting. The left side is a broken handling. The coordinator will receive both. It compresses date. April 2024 is more recent, so it uses the recent version. The January 2023 version is dropped. The coordinator's output mentions the 30-day policy. The January 2023 source doesn't appear. The customer receives one answer with one source. If the coordinator picked wrong, or if the January 2023 version is actually the one that applies to this customer's order, the error is invisible. What is the right path? Correct handling. Include both sources with attribution. The current returns policy version 3, April 2024, allows 30-day returns for damaged items. Note, an older version of the policy, version 2, January 2023, specified 14 days. The current policy applies. Both URLs should be in the output. Both dates need to be mentioned. The conflict is surfaced rather than getting resolved silently. The customer or a human reviewer can see both sources and verify. The exam will potentially test this specific pattern: conflicting sources, one silently resolved versus both attributed. So you need to know the difference. Now, we definitely have a few walkthroughs, right? The walkthrough will trace a claim all the way through the pipeline. So you start with a customer query: what's your return policy for damaged items? The trace follows the source URL from the moment the sub-agent retrieves it to the moment the customer receives the response. The sub-agent retrieves source URL, name, date, all 3 in the structured output. Check. Step 2, passed to the coordinator. The coordinator synthesizes prompt, includes provenance instruction, source URL in the synthesis. Check. Step 3, coordinator encounters the older version. Both versions are included in synthesis output with attribution. Source URLs for both. Check. Step 4, response formatter. Provenance fields in the template. Both sources appear in the customer facing response. Check. The trace passes at every step. That is the target state for walkthrough. Then the walkthrough will introduce a conflict, a conflicting source, maybe an internal policy memo that says damaged items from a specific product line are excluded for the 30-day policy. Trace that conflict through the pipeline, verify both sources appear that with attribution in the final response, and neither of it is dropped. Now it's time for the master scenario diagram. Now we have seen through all of this towards every stage and the final video probably. All 5 stages, all fixes visible in one diagram. Let me tell you what stage 5 has as an addition. So prior stages appear first, all 4 layers, and then the stage 5 additions build one by one. 5.1 is literally the case facts block, the amber border sitting in the agent context above the conversation, the fix or lost in the middle idea. Second is the escalation criteria on the agent's output path, the fix for sentiment-based mix escalation. Then 5.3 is coverage annotation wrappers on every sub-agent's output flowing to the coordinator, the fix for partial results, hallucination on timeout, and silent conflict resolution. Stage 5.4 is the scratchpad file icon on the extended session agent sitting external to the context, the fix for extended session degradation and crash recovery. Stage 5.5 is the accuracy and routing layer on the extraction pipeline, segment routing, field confidence, stratified sampling, and stage 5.6 is the provenance trace arrows through the multiple agent pipeline. Every sub-agent output tagged, coordinator synthesis with provenance instruction, customer response with source attribution. So stage 5 is complete, all 5 stages applied. The final capstone will have 8 scenarios, every failure mode. This is the system that you have built. It started as a single agent with 2 tools at the end of stage 1, and look at what it is now. So this video was all about the drop points, sub-agent synthesis, conflict resolution, response formatter, and then how do you fix the synthesis prompt, include provenance per claim, surface conflicts that don't resolve silently, and conflicting sources, both attributed, neither dropped. So 6 videos, stage 5 is complete. You started with context degradation, the lost in the middle problem, the persistent case facts block, and the diagnostic framework for 22-turn conversation. Then we went to escalation, specified categorical criteria, the repeat without resolution catch-all, and the 3 examples including the frustration trap that the exam might test. Then there was multi-agent reliability, 3 coordinator failure modes, coverage annotations, and timeout handling with structured responses. Then we talked about extended sessions, scratchpad files, compact, add checkpoints, crash recovery with state export. Then finally we talked about accuracy by segment, why 97% overall hides segment failures, field level confidence, and stratified sampling. And finally the final video was about provenance, 4 drop points, the coordinator synthesis fix, and conflicting sources that attributed rather than silently being resolved. So that's the course. 6 stages, dozens of videos, walkthroughs that ask you to actually build the things, not just watch them get built, and a final capstone that run your agent through 8 scenarios designed to break it. I want to take a moment before you go. When you started stage 1, you built a customer support agent with 2 tools. It handled a question called get customer, got a response, and looped back. It worked. And if you would have stopped there and shipped it, it would have worked for a while. until the conversation got long, until a tool returned a confusing error, or until a customer triggered an edge case nobody thought to test. And that's not a criticism of where you started. That's the point. Every experienced engineer who's built AI systems in production has a version of that story. Something that worked perfectly in development and broke in ways that they didn't expect when real users got to it. What you have built by the end of stage 5 is something genuinely different. You will have an agent with structured error responses that tell the loop exactly what went wrong, when to try again. You know multi-agent architecture where each agent only has the tools its jobs requires. You know about context isolation that keeps agent focused. A lot more. That's a real system built piece by piece, stage by stage, because each of these sections really matter. But I also want to acknowledge something really honestly. This course has asked a lot of you. The walkthroughs weren't easy. Some of them required you to sit with a failing implementation and diagnose what was wrong before you saw the fix. I know that's uncomfortable. That's also exactly how you learn to do this in production when there's no answer key and the log just says something went wrong. If you have worked through all of it, the videos, the walkthroughs, the capstones, you have done something really amazing and you have done it yourself. And I am super proud. For the exam, you have probably built every system it asks about. The questions are going to be scenario based. They describe a situation and ask what you would do. You have been in those situations. You have diagnosed them and you would have probably written a fix. And after the exam, or whether or not you sit for it, the patterns that you have learned here are patterns that show up in real production systems. The lost in the middle problem isn't a course concept, it's in the failure logs. Blast radius isn't a metaphor, it's what happens when an agent has tools that it shouldn't. Provenance isn't just abstract, it's a customer asking why your system told them something that turned out to be wrong. These things matter because the systems we built with Claude matter. They talk to real customers, they process real funds, they make real decisions. So getting them right is worth the effort. Thank you for putting in that effort genuinely. Everyone watching it, good luck on the exam. Go build something worth building. And if you have liked any bit of the work that we have done, please show us your support. We are trying to give you the best experience that we can. We are learning alongside you, so there's definitely scope for a lot of improvement. We would love for you to reach out to us via the various social media channels, be it Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Write to us on our email, hop in on our Telegram group, and let's just be friends. Let's just learn alongside. This is a very, very fast moving industry and we need to be on top of it. And while we do all of this, please don't forget to take a break. Go get that favorite coffee, have a hot chocolate, hydrate yourself, go roam around the world, take a vacation. You deserve it. And then come back, learn more, build more, and just be proud of yourself. You deserve a pat on the back. So everyone, okay, I will see you in the next course. Yeah, okay. Thank you guys.